So if your husband finds out that you're having a contraceptive, the first question will be, so you've started seeing other men.
Hello, our viewers. Thank you for watching Coherent TV. And this is the Big Topic Show with your host, Emanuela. And today we are yet to have another episode of the Big Topic Show. And today we're going to be discussing something a little interesting when it comes into women accessing family planning and how they get to suffer from gender-based violence as a result of accessing the family planning methods. Well, we are having someone who has joined us today in the studios, and she'll be discussing with us a lot in regards to her experience of the various forms of gender-based violence that women have reported after accessing a family planning method. You're most welcome.
Thank you, Emanuela. My name is Rose Mahoro. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I work with an organization called Voices for Health and Development as a team leader. We empower young people, mostly in universities, to make reproductive, to make correct and proper decisions when it comes to their reproductive health. We are based in Entebbe, and that is in Wakiso district.
Well, once again, you're most welcome, and thank you for having introduced yourself to our viewers. Now, getting in back to our topic of discussion of today, just like we had talked of earlier on, most times we get to experience that, we're going to see that women face gender-based violence as a result of accessing in family planning. Now, I want to take us back to, the social norms of, men being dominant. Okay, when it comes into overseeing everything, and then how do you think this gets to affect women's access to reproductive health services and making autonomous decisions?
Well, I will start with what do we understand by the term gender-based violence. Most people, we now that we're on November, and it's a month when we mark the day of elimination of gender-based violence, people are asking why this is happening, why now, why are we talking about gender-based violence? Well, gender-based violence is an act of violence put on an individual based on their gender. In this case, most women are violated. But however, we also have men who have been violated. There are quite a number of violations, such as physical violence, which is most common. We also have emotional or psychological violence. We have sexual violence, which happens mostly in families. We do also have economic violence. Yeah. So all these forms of violence, women get to experience them in their daily lives. Women, girls, it doesn't matter the age of a person. Even these little girls, an adolescent, girls, women, when they're married, we tend to have these forms of violence in one or the other. And because of sometimes you talked about a masculinity of men. Men want to feel they're entitled. They feel like it's our bodies are theirs, and mostly they're married to us. The other time I was talking to some gentleman. He said, "If I've gone to your home and I paid my dowry, I am entitled to beat you as my wife." So men have a tendency as, if I've married you, we have a right to beat you because you're now my property. And that shouldn't actually be the case. Women shouldn't be treated as property. And right now we have the men control over the things in the home, over a woman. That's what I'm talking about. Once a man has that control over a woman, they feel they should decide on what she should have. If you have a contraceptive without his permission, that is already a fight at home. Yeah, they need you to ask for permission on whatever you want. If you've not actually asked for permission, it's a ground for violence. And men have, there is also a misconception that once you have a family planning method, any family planning method, it it promotes infidelity in families. So you find you find you find men accusing their women for probably sleeping around with other men because of the family planning method. We also have the the cultural norms of men have dominance over women. Women should be subordinate to men, and whatever whatever they want, regardless, they have to ask for permission. And also the fact that there is also this of the culture demands men have to have a particular number of children. If you have this number of children, you're regarded as superior. You're regarded as a chief in that place. Children long ago were seen as the more children you had, the more superior you were in that village, and mostly if you had boys. So the gender also comes in. If you have when you have children and you've only produced female gender, there is a way family tends to regard you. Some are being called a mother of girls or a father of girls. So if they regard you as father of girls, you tend to have low respect in that community. So you tend to push your wife to actually produce as many children as possible to get just a male gender. So culture has a big role it plays in gender-based violence.
This is quite interesting. I just want to know from you, because you had pointed out that most times it is women who get to be affected by gender-based violence. And why do you think that is so? Could there be a specific reason or reasons as to why women are being highly violated when it comes into gender-based violence?
One is, I think it's the economic dependency. Most women do not work, and they depend solely on men for survival. So if it's the man who provides for the family, and this time around you have put a method of family planning, they will deny food. They will deny you medical care. So because of that, you find a woman actually not prioritizing the Kameza money, that pocket money they give for daily living and buying daily food at home. So a woman will tend not to actually access family planning because they're scared to lose that money, or to even medical health care. A man will monitor your movements. Where are you going? Whenever you go to that hospital, you get a method of family planning. So that is cut. The other, why do women actually comply, or why are they being violated, is the physical violence men put on these women. They beat them. They actually beat them. So you find a woman is prioritizing safety over healthcare. So no matter how many children, she might want actually to stop at 4, 5 because of the health-related issues, but because the man, once he finds out that you're having this method, though you beat her, so she will decide to actually keep sanity home. She will decide to keep herself from being beaten, than get pregnant, than actually getting access to these methods. There is also misinformation or myths and misconceptions about family planning methods. That is also another cause. Men, there are so many things that go on when it comes to family planning. Myths about they cause infertility. If you have a family planning method, you're probably a prostitute, or you're a sex worker. That's the name that I should have used. But those are the names they term sex workers. And then also they have a way of saying that if you have a contraceptive, you tend to be, there's infidelity in homes for people who actually have family planning methods. So you find the misconceptions around around family planning are causing women actually to let go of family planning because the community has said so. If you have family planning, this is what is happening. They give you names. And there's some contraceptives known for causing infertility, which is a myth. So you find women fearing to actually access these family planning methods because of those myths. But if we bust them, of course, women will actually know better and where to get these services from.
Miss Mahoro, we were still discussing about women facing in gender-based violence as a result of them accessing family planning services. Now, I would love to know from you, how does the fear of violence and abandonment from the husbands get to affect women's ability to access reproductive health services without being coerced?
Okay, well, in many communities, actually, violence does not come because a woman has gotten a contraceptive, but society has placed the power of reproductive health in the hands of men. They're seen as they are the decision maker in everything, regardless. So when it comes to men control. We have a perception that men control the reproductive system decisions that actually happens home. If a man doesn't say this, a woman shouldn't do that. So if a woman actually goes ahead to have a contraceptive of her choice, it is seen as challenging a man's authority. So, and then the other thing is masculinity linked to fertility. You see, as a man, it is very important to decide, I want this number of children. If I have this number of children, I am regarded as a powerful man in the society. We've seen so many men taking proud of having 30 children. I am having 30 children, or in this, how many wives? You get that alone makes them proud. So if a woman takes on a contraceptive, you're challenging them. It is not something that they would want to have. Yeah. The unequal power dynamics in families, you find a woman cannot make decisions because they are actually unequal to men in terms of resources. It's a man, you depend on every single thing. You do not work, you sit home, and he provides. And actually, some men have denied women opportunities to go work, get their own money, because that alone makes them scared of what this woman might actually become. So if they are able to control your resources, they're able to control your mind, sit home, I am providing. So whichever decision you're going to make will affect you. If you have a contraceptive and this man is not up about it, he will not provide you food. Where will you get that food? He will not actually give you money to go see a doctor. So at the end of the time, you're going to find yourself not accessing contraceptive because you want to have resources coming in. You do not want to annoy your husband. If you annoy your husband by having these contraceptives, he will not do things that he's supposed to do. He's not going to take care of his family as his responsibility, as he calls it. The other thing is the cultural beliefs and the misconception about contraceptives. Over years, we've perceived, people have conceived contraceptives as if a woman goes in and gets some method of family planning, they're seen as infidelity. They are having quite a number of men. It is something that is not seen well in society. So if your husband finds out that you're having a contraceptive, the first question will be, so you've started seeing other men. Why are you using contraceptive? Why are you using that family planning method? You get? So men have controlled women over years, and that's pretty it. And then, yeah, that's quite why women have actually stopped having or cannot access these services, because of the cultural norms, the cultural power, or the power we've put in men. We are too submissive. Yeah, you find a woman cannot actually get a method of family planning because if a man has not said so, she will not. So it's not about actually family planning, it's the cultural values, the norms that are there, that are surrounding the masculinity of a man, the power, the decision-making power, is the economic impact, and all those things put in place.
Well, that's quite interesting. I believe with the kind of experience that you've had and the different interactions that you were able to have with women that you work with, I believe there could be stories of women who are victims of gender-based violence as a result of them accessing family planning services. Would you love to just share with us some of those experiences that you've had with the women?
Most of the time, women fear to be beaten. You find a woman having a contraceptive, but when they get home, they'll be beaten. So when a woman will actually choose a contraceptive of not her choice, because I know when I put an implant, he will find out. It will, when he touches here, he might feel it. Yeah. But when I take a pill, he will not see it. So you find a woman hiding these pills in places that are not safe to actually keep these pills. You find them being put in the kitchen. You see the village setting in those kitchens, and that's where the woman will always go and pick. To some extent, we've seen men actually getting razor blades and cutting off the women's arms to get, or even knives to get those implant rods. Some have been told to squat to remove the IUDs. So it is very difficult for some women to actually get these services because of the experience. Some have been chased out of their homes. I've ever received a call from a woman saying, "You gave me your family planning method, but I've lost my house. I've lost my home." You get? So quite a number of challenges women go through whenever they have these family planning services. And yeah, it's really it's frustrating to see a woman wanting to make a choice on the number of children they want to have, but a man is frustrating the whole process. Unless he says yes, you cannot have this method.
Well, I know it's quite a little challenging for women out there who would love to access these services, and of course, probably I believe that has a lot of consequences on their health or their health-seeking behaviors. But now we've talked about the misinformation surrounding family planning and also men being perpetrators in this case. So how do you think the misinformation and lack of male involvement fuels the gender-based violence in this case?
Misinformation, see, if we do not inform, actually, if we do not inform the community or the men in this case, we are creating a room for misbelief, suspect of what exactly are they doing. Yeah, that's when we get to know about this method will causes infertility. This method causes this. There are so many myths around contraceptions, but when we come out and talk about these methods, when we come around and talk about when we bust the myths and misconceptions around contraceptives, we are creating a sense of knowing actually what is right and what is wrong. So misconception has actually played a big role in gender-based violence regarding contraceptive uptake, but it's our role to talk about these contraceptives. We've had people say contraceptives cause infertility. You've heard about that. Yes. You've had people saying contraceptives are for women who are actually sex workers. We've seen women actually saying, this is also something else. Did you know that gender-based violence, much as it's too much in women, but I've also seen a trend in violence caused on men who are actually having vasectomy. Okay. Men are being beaten. Why did you have a vasectomy? A vasectomy is a permanent family planning method for men. So women believe that if a man had a vasectomy, he's not going to function. So if you're not going to function, how are you going to play your role as a man in a home? So you find men being beaten. So as we are talking about gender-based violence in women, let's also see that men are also supported, that men who also experience this violence silently, and they need to come out, talk about these issues. Vasectomy is a family, the men who are actually being sensitized, they know the importance of family planning and they've decided, this is what I want. So instead of also involving women in these conversations, actually when you have vasectomy, this and this, it's good for the family, your man still functions as a man. Yeah. So we need to see both perspectives. Men and women are being violated because of method uptake.
Well, it's quite interesting that I've got to learn today about how effective a man can be when he has gotten a vasectomy. Because someone like me would also think that if my man accesses vasectomy, then probably things in the football pitch may not be the way that they were previously. But anyway, I think it's another thing that we will have to talk about so that our audience also gets to know more about it. Well, now you see, given all these, I believe there could be interventions that have been proven to be effective in reducing the rates of the gender-based violence associated with family planning uptake. Would you love to maybe share with us, or maybe some of those that you think could help in to reduce the gender-based violence associated with uptake of family planning?
Okay, well, I believe community-based counseling is very important. It plays a bigger role in making of encouraging couples coming together. You know, you call a community dialogue, community counseling. Women and men come together. You counsel them on different family planning methods. You tell them the uses. Why is it important? Not only for the women, but also important for you in a home, for you in terms of peace, in terms of your economic, the economic aspect. You know, the more number of children you have, the poor health are going to experience, and also going or not going to school. So we need to have community-based counseling or activities, dialogues to sensitize about different methods, to also actually understand from their point of views, why are they saying no to these family planning methods. That's when you start in and telling them, you counsel them on these methods. The other thing is a male engagement program. we tend to ignore men in the aspects of family planning. We sideline with women. We tell women that this is we rarely even talk about the male family planning methods, the vasectomy. We rarely talk about it. But if we involve men in these dialogues, we tell them there is this program, men will benefit from it. When a man gets to actually know, understand these methods, these are the people who are going to support women to access family planning. You find a man escorting his woman to the clinic. Let's get this family planning method. Yeah, the community dialogues, the outreaches. Whenever we do outreaches, we should support men to also be there. When I talk about also reaching men to their their meeting places, I'll give an example in Teso region, where men gather in a certain period of time in the evening, perhaps after work, and they sit. They are taking their ajono, their local brewery. So while they are taking, we need to know where these men sit, gather. We take these programs in their dialogues. They engage men to men. They get to understand these aspects. It's like, oh, okay, I've been doing it wrongly. I've not been treating my wife well. They are going to share experiences. One will say, may I encourage my wife to take these methods? May I do this? May I do this? So at the end of the time, after taking after their meeting in the evening, he will go home, and you see, you're creating a change through those meetups. Then the other thing is training health workers to actually know how to engage men. We usually, whenever we have family planning days in most facilities, where you only have women attending, rarely do you find men in such spaces. But if we have men in those spaces, prioritize men, have men days. When they come, prioritize them first. Sir, what do you, this, there is actually, we've been learning about these methods. What do you think about this? You can actually, this is a program ongoing. Did you know that do you know about this method? Men would actually be interested in knowing how different family planning methods work. They are scared for their wives. Why is that thing put there? Won't it cause this? Won't it cause cancer? They are scared for their lives, for their women's life. But if you sensitize them, even when they come to the hospital, sit with them, have men days, family planning days for men and women. It will reduce the rates of gender-based violence in homes when it comes to access to contraceptives.
Well, this is interesting. I was actually going to ask you on how best men can be involved to support their women, but then you've actually tackled it. Most times you find that men don't really get to have that time. You find that women have so much of the health-seeking behaviors than men. But you have elaborated it so well on how best men can be able to be involved in such kind of activities, and they be able to support their women. And now, if they are to be policies, or if there are policies, or how should I rephrase it? What policies, what policies or laws are there to support or help women achieve their reproductive justice within our country? Or what policies do you think could be put in place?
Actually, there are policies in place. There are policies, there are guidelines in place to protect women from gender-based violence. And the problem is we are not aware. There is having policies, but also sensitizing people about these policies is lacking. But there are policies in place. For example, the National Policy on Elimination of Gender-Based Violence in Uganda 2016 identifies a broad range of violence, all forms of violence. It specifies there is this violence, explains what it is, how it is, and then this policy specifically emphasizes women's right to freely decide on about their reproductive health. In this policy, a woman, it gives rights, it shows how a woman has her own right to actually access these services without a man involved, without being violated by her husband. They can actually decide, I want to have this method, as long as you're a woman you're a woman of who can decide, of age consent, which is 18. You do not have to ask permission from anyone to get this family planning method, and that's what this policy is about. Then there is also another act, which is the Domestic Violence Act of 2010. It provides legal protection of victims of domestic violence. But like I said, women do not know where to go when it comes to violence. In police stations, there are those family units where if a woman's there is violence related to beatings and things like that, they go and the police solves. There is that department for family. So there are systems in place, but people do not know that there are actually systems in place. So what we need to do is continue sensitizing people about these policies, about these guidelines that are available, that are in place. And it is high time we started implementing them. It is high time to actually tell a woman that this is where you go for these services. Otherwise, we are going to continue seeing women being beaten over family planning. But of course, violence doesn't just, it's not about beating. Psychological, you find we have so many cases of mental health, and this is one of them. It's caused by gender-based violence. It's a form of gender-based violence. So women are experiencing all those sorts of violence, but they do not know where to actually go for help.
Well, it's quite interesting that when we're talking about gender-based violence, we always get to have a lot of things to explore. And I believe someone out there would not want us to stop. But then our time is not really being good on our side. As we come to the end of our session of today, what last words do you have for our audience out there?
All I can tell is, we are now in a digital era. We are now evolving. We are no longer that community of it's a man's thing, men's dominating women. It is an equal world. Men and women are both go to work, should be seen as equal. And as an equal partner, you need to treat partners. We need to treat each other as equal, as we say that we are equal. That means giving chance to your partner to decide over their own bodies. If I want a contraceptive, let no man say I shouldn't get a contraceptive. We should encourage women to be empowered to make decisions over their bodies rather than letting men decide for themselves. They should know that there are reporting systems in place that to report violence against men and women.
Well, thank you so much. Just to remind you that this is November and it's the month of us fighting against eliminating gender-based violence or any other form of violence. And just to call us all out there, in case of any form of gender-based violence, please reach out, help them out, give someone a helping hand, give someone a listening ear. You never know how much help that would be to that person. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching Choir Unitive. This has been the Big Topic Show with your host, Emanuela. And thank you so much once again for joining us. And I hope you'll be able to join us some other time back when we call on you.
Thank you so much, Emanuela.
All right. We're signing out. See you next time.